Hi everyone, it's Mr. Most Days Off from the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. I want to say thank you so much for tuning into our podcast and also let you know of 3 additional ways you can help out the show. First, you can find and buy our merchandise at tpublic.com/bestdarndiddly. You can also support our sponsors popthreads.com for all your other t-shirt needs and use our discount code Simpsons at checkout. And finally, you can find us on patreon.com. Thank you again so much for listening to the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. And please enjoy this week's podcast. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. This is a weekly podcast for anyone who loves The Simpsons or ever has loved The Simpsons, hosted by 2 dudes that grew up on The Simpsons. My name is Miles, better known as Mr. Most Days Off, and today we are going all in with our review of Springfield, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Legalized Gambling. And we've also got a guest who is absolutely aces. We'll be getting to him very shortly, but first, joining me as always, your co-host with the most, Richie the Whiz Kid. How you doing today, Rich?
I'm feeling a little high, like I might have busted on this one, but just metaphorically, not literally this time.
21, 23, 28.
35, oh, busted again. You all win. But as always, we will get into that. We don't want to waste time when we have a guest. I will throw it back to you, the man, the myth, the gambling monster that has enslaved your mother. I call him Gamblor!
Well, joining us today, a man who's actually been on the show twice before. This would be his thrice appearance.
3 times. He's been on the show 3 times.
Has he?
That one time we had to re-record.
Oh, yeah. Technically, that's true. The story of how the derailers came to be, actually. So, man, one of the 3 derailers, one of the 2, I guess 2 and I don't know where Jenny Bean stands sometimes with the Wrestle Nerds, and the mastermind behind, the mastermind behind Wrestle Nerds Wrestling. It is Ripken. Welcome to the show, Ripken.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm so happy to be here. I was just here sitting doing a jig. Knowing that we were about to get into a classic Simpsons episode, a very underrated Simpsons episode, in my opinion, guys. You don't hear about this one too often.
You know, I have really fond memories of this one, but for, like, completely different reasons and from, like, false memories that I had of this episode. I guess in, like, some way I either Mandela'd myself or I just, like, over-exaggerated parts of this episode that I remember to be a bigger part of the episode, but I don't want to get too far ahead into that.
Did you think this is when Ned and Homer got married again?
No. Yeah, I thought Bart performed the ceremony in his casino.
Well, Robert Goulet sang.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, hey, sorry, kid.
So, before we get too far into The Simpsons, I already said we're going to be talking about Springfield, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Legalized Gambling. But first...
Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, it's a tough one, right? I had to work on that all week. But first, let's talk a little bit about what you've got going on. You, like I mentioned, are a part of the Derailers podcast. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about that real quick?
Yeah, no, like you said, we started the Derailers podcast after a visit on your show, where we basically just couldn't stay.
They went perfectly smoothly,
Yes, no,
right?
Of course. It was not a rough ride whatsoever. We didn't turn one episode into 2, or we did. So based on that, we started our own podcast where we just aren't able to stay on topic. That's myself and my good friends Goobs and Jenny Bean. We are the Derailers.
Love those guys.
We always start with one topic and we'll talk for it briefly and eventually, however, wherever the tracks take us basically is where we end up, but we never end up on the same spot. Yeah, so.
Well, I was fortunate enough to be a guest on your show once, and I had an absolute great time. I believe we started by talking about one of my most beloved movies, Evil Bong, which is also very underrated, like this episode. However,
the one and only person that movie is beloved to.
But no, it's a great concept, and I have to say, I mean this with the absolute most respect, because I really do love you guys, but I often, when I'm asked about your podcast, if I'm talking about it, I describe it in a sense that you guys know you're a bit crazy and you just totally embrace it, and it's the absolute best. So it's a lot of fun to hear you guys, and obviously you guys have some great chemistry with one another. It's a lot of fun to hear you ramble about the most stupid bullshit.
It is a lot of fun, yes.
Very cool. And then we actually have quite a few wrestling fans here on the show, as you also are aware from our Twitter audience that we get to interact with from time to time. So tell everybody a little bit about what you do over there with WNW. And maybe talk about a hot new tag team that's about to be making their debut match at the next pay-per-view.
Oh, I might even watch that tag team.
Well, I mean, obviously you're talking about the best darn tag team. Mr. Most Days Off and Richie the Whiz Kid. WNW is something we've done since WWE 2K16. So basically, Goobs and myself create our very own roster of interesting characters. And this year we've decided to incorporate some of our friends like yourself and Richie, as well as a few people from other podcasts like the Secret Transmission podcast.
They could be second place.
Yeah, the Bells Get Fit on YouTube, and a few other ones. Random Ramblings with Rob, of course, is there as well. And yeah, just a whole bunch of random characters that we've created, and we've basically made our own federation. We book these characters, we play out all the matches, we record the matches, we do them weekly now, and then eventually, after so many weeks, we do a big pay-per-view, or iPay-per-view as we call them, because it's on YouTube. And yeah, you can find it all on YouTube if you just search Wrestle Nerds or Wrestle Nerds Wrestling, or I don't know what'll happen if you search WNW. That's a pretty...
we're aiming for that. Hopefully you've got that commodity coming your way.
Yeah, but definitely check it out if you like wrestling. You know, it's a good half hour to 45 minutes of video. It's just funny commentary. We do all the commentary and stuff like that, and all the promos, and it's just a good time all around.
Definitely go check out the Derailers podcast, and like I said, if you're a wrestling nerd, check out the Wrestle Nerds Wrestling podcast. But for now, along with a wrestling fan, with a randomness fan, a podcast fan, Ripken is also a big Simpsons fan, as you know, as he joined us on Marge versus the Monorail, well as Homer at the Bat, two of the best episodes.
Don't forget Separate Vocations as well.
And Separate Vocations. That one does sometimes slip my mind, I won't lie.
Funny you should bring up luck.
I've gotten lucky here.
So, very briefly, because we are going to go through this entire thing, but tell me specifically why it was that out of all of the fantastic episodes that are available in Season 5, this was the one that grabbed your attention. This is the one that you chose to come on our show for.
This was actually not one that I would have even thought of, because I myself was one of the people who found it, who underappreciated it, I guess. But it was my older brother. So shout outs to him, Ryan. He's 7 years older than I am, and he mentioned.
For a second I thought you were going to say he was 7 years old, and I was going to get all like cute, and be like, "Hi, Ryan! Hope you're listening. Have fun. Don't say any of the things we say when your parents are around."
How's your older brother? Only 7.
Yeah, well, that's how things work in Canada. No.
The metric system.
It's all like the Benjamin Button effect, basically.
That's right, yeah.
That's how Canadians grow.
He was born at 90, Richie. Come on. Respect.
You're so Merlinian.
No, he is 7 years older than I am. So he was actually the one who brought it up to me when I brought up the fact that I had done this show with you guys a couple times, and how lucky I had been with the episodes I got. So he was the one who actually said, well, make sure the next episode you get is Marge's Gambling Addiction. Of course, he doesn't know it by name with the long
It's a tough name. It really is.
Yeah. And
$sign Springfield is the easy way to think of it.
Yeah, and even after he said it, I was kind of like, I'm sure there's better ones I could go after. But then he started quoting the episode and bringing it back to me, and I was like, wow, you know what? He's right. He went on for a while too. So, after rewatching it and getting it fresh back in my memory, and he didn't let me down. He didn't disappoint. So I'm glad I picked this one.
Good looking out, Ryan. We're not going to embarrass your brother by telling you right here live on the air what you had to do to get all those choice episodes, but you know what you did. You're going to have to live with yourself when you go to sleep at night.
Yeah, no, thanks.
Let's dive right into this episode. This one originally aired on December 16th, 1993. It does have a chalk gag, which is, I will not just say Springfield to get an applause, which as wrestling fans, shout out to Mick Foley. That's instantly what I thought of. Cheap pop.
I just thought it was reflective of the title of the episode.
Yeah, to some extent that as well.
Yeah, you could look at it that way too, for sure.
I guess, if you want to go that route.
If you're not a wrestling fan.
We also get a couch gag, which is actually a repeat, I believe. It's where they all run in and collide with each other and start to shatter. And if I remember correctly, this was actually one of the 3 that they used in the same couch gag opening for the season opener of this season, Homer's Barbershop Quartet.
Oh.
I believe that's correct. Yeah, I think that's correct. I didn't verify that, but that seems
if that's true, that's not the only thing they steal from that episode in this episode.
Oh, interesting.
Oh,
a little tease.
Listen to me.
I love that.
The pronoun game with the mysteries and whatnot. Oh.
Yeah, you know how to do this. Keep them wanting more. Make sure that comes after the first break. So
that's
they have
right.
to
Oh God, when's he gonna get to it? What do they use?
We're just dying to know.
Miles is like one of those gift givers that, like, once he gets the gift, he wants you to take it instantly.
Oh God, yeah. I basically have to buy. If I want to actually give somebody something on Christmas, I pretty much have to buy it right before Christmas because anything else, it's just like, hey, I got you something. Merry December 17th. It's fine. Awesome. I like it. It's fine. Awesome. So we open up with the News on Parade Corporation News Show.
Yes.
It's like an old-timey production, something, it's in black and white. It's talking about current events that include things like nuclear testing, the invention of the television, and new release movies that are now coming out at the Cinema has a brand, Cinema in downtown Springfield.
Good save.
Yeah, thanks. There's a film playing in the background, or somewhere. It's basically Springfield, City on the Grow, and it's talking about all the great things that are coming out of the town of Springfield. Like, everyone owns a pair of Springfield galoshes.
Yeah, half the people in America do.
Right. My favorite was the aqua car that they were pulling off of the production line.
Keep them coming, boys.
Yeah. Everybody's going to be driving one of those. Honestly, though, Matt Groening actually said this on the commentary, and I was absolutely in the same boat. The first time I saw one of those, I was just like, that is genius. Why doesn't every car float in water? And that's kind of the reason, or that's one of the things that Matt Groening said as well, is that was always just something that he really, really loved the idea of as a kid. And who doesn't? I mean, that's a brilliant concept. Shit. Yes. Oh, yeah. Speaking of James Bond, there's a little fun James Bond fact coming your way later.
You know, I really appreciate this program, the News on Parade.
Yeah.
Corporation News.
News.
Everyone in town is upbeat about how great this city is, except for 2 familiar faces walking down Main Street. And we actually see a young Abe Simpson and Jasper walking together.
The way people act around here, you think the streets are paved with gold.
They are. And you actually see cars sliding around uncontrollably because when they break, the gold is just too glossy and they just immediately slide.
Well, Miles, being somebody else alongside myself that worked in jewelry for quite a while, you gotta think that's gotta be a lot of gold packed together to be able to hold the weight of a car on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
not to mention entire streets of it. Good God.
Yeah.
Yeah. In hindsight, the whole streets of gold thing just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it?
Gold's so soft.
I'd still rather visit the land of chocolate myself. But
yeah, especially if that sell at the chocolate store is going.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Half price chocolate.
Derailing to the land of chocolate. Yes.
I would derail there, too. It's a good place to land. I really love this shot they have, actually. It's this beautiful transition they do with the animation, because they actually kind of show Springfield going from this beautiful, nice, fancy place, and it ages instantly, about 50 years or so, maybe 60 years or so. And in the same moment, Jasper and Abe also age to the form that we know them or that we're more familiar with in their older age.
Yeah.
And the city has really just pretty much gone to shit. There's no real other way to put it. I mean, everything is broken. The once new release theater that was playing, Oscar-worthy films is now playing XXX smut, such as Sperm of Endearment and I'll Do Anyone.
Nice.
Which that's a reference to James L. Brooks.
God.
Oh, is it?
That's a reference to 2 of his films, actually, that he helped make.
Oh, cool! I did not know that.
And that's courtesy of my guidebook, The Simpsons: A Complete Guide to Our Favorite Family. The movie Sperms of Endearment is supposed to be Terms of Endearment, and I'll Do Anyone is supposed to be
Debbie Does Dallas.
I'll Do Anything. Which are 2 movies he helped produce, I believe.
This kind of ties in with that fact a little bit. The hobo that approaches Abe and Jasper for change is another character that's drawn to resemble Jim Brooks. And if you look at the facial structure, he is very similar to the man at the bar that we talked about a few weeks ago. So the animators are really starting to like to get a little bit Easter eggy or cheeky with the little hidden gems that they have inside the episodes.
So they literally did back-to-back, like, instantaneous James L. Brooks jokes. Clever guys.
I love that Abe tells the homeless guy what most of us have only ever dreamed of telling homeless people.
He asked if he has change, and Abe says, "Of course I do, and you ain't getting it. Everyone around here wants something for nothing."
Walks into a Social Security office.
Yeah. I'm old. Gimme. Gimme.
So great, yeah. We've talked about the whole homeless crisis in the past, and like on some hands, it's like you don't want to encourage panhandling, but at the same time, it's just like I don't want to give him money because he's going to do drugs or buy booze, and it's like who the fuck cares if he needs it? If that's going to make his life better for like a couple of hours, let him enjoy himself.
Yep.
So we move on to the power plant where we see Homer is in the bathroom and he gets really excited when he finds something in the toilet.
Something
it's
I could only dream of finding in a toilet. God.
A dream come true. Ew. It's a pair of glasses.
Lucky guy.
And I love that at first he's like announcing like, hey, anybody lose their glasses? But no one answers. Last chance.
He did.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah, he gave them the opportunity.
He was trying to do the right thing.
Yeah. Except not at all.
Probably the grossest part, other than Richie's poop joke here, is the fact that he just puts them right on his face without even rinsing them off. I don't get me wrong, he walks over to the sink, but he never actually rinses them. He just puts them straight on his face, and immediately he becomes smarter.
Miles, please. He took them out of a bowl of water. They're clean. They're clean.
Oh, true. Maybe if I were more intelligent, if I wore glasses, maybe I'd know.
Where was it before it was in the bowl of water, though? Like, why was it in there to begin with?
You'd have to ask Henry Kissinger.
You would have to ask Henry Kissinger, That's true. Surely a man of his intelligence wouldn't drop a pair of glasses in a toilet bowl.
Yes, no, not him. Not the man who, did the Paris Peace Accord thing.
I love though Homer puts on the glasses and immediately he's like, the sum of square roots of any two sides of an isosceles triangle is equal to the square root of the remaining side.
It's a right triangle,
That's
you
a
idiot!
Right and the other voice is like somebody sitting in a stall.
Who just, has nothing better to do but shit and overhear people quoting math equations to themselves. So up in Mr. Burns' office, we actually get to the scene we were just talking about. They're actually seeing Henry Kissinger out of the office, and they make a joke about how he's embarrassed that his glasses haven't turned up. Smithers reassures him if they find them, they'll send them back to him or whatever. I'm thinking a dude as wealthy as Henry Kissinger probably doesn't really need to worry that much about a pair of glasses.
Oh no, you're wrong.
He's
like
just
somebody's
more worried
lucky
about.
hat.
You're wrong. He did have to worry about those glasses.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess so. So Smithers actually tells Burns, though, there's some bad news coming from accounting, and that the economy has actually been hitting them really hard.
Tough times, huh? I've lived through 12 recessions, 8 panics, and 5 years of McKinleynomics. I'll survive this.
Even so, sir, we could stand to lay off a few employees.
Oh, very well. Lay off him. And
then Mr. Burns pauses when he sees Homer because he's wearing the glasses.
Better keep the egghead. He just might come in handy.
That's right.
Great bit.
Advantage glasses.
This is another one of those episodes that Mr. Burns isn't actually in it as much as you would think he is, considering it's his casino that's going to be built, but every moment that he's on screen is absolutely gold.
Very true. And two of those people, by the way, that he laid off were Lenny and Carl. So
yeah,
yes, they were.
God damn, I don't know how many times those guys have been fired or laid off from that job.
He'll probably just keep crawling through the groveling door and keep earning their job back.
Well, at least Lenny didn't have to explain why he, needed to keep his job without using the letter E. He is a good work guy.
So we actually go back to the Simpsons' home where Homer still has the glasses on, and it's doing the thing where if you've ever worn glasses and you don't need them, it makes your vision completely fucked. Like, you can't see anything. Everything's super blurry. And that, of course, is the case for Homer in this moment. Lisa actually warns him about that, how it's really bad for him, but Homer just turns to Lisa and says, Lisa, just because you're 10 feet tall doesn't mean you can tell me what to do.
I'm Bart.
So Lisa actually just takes the glasses from Homer, and it's just in time for us to see a news report that Henry Kissinger was hospitalized today after walking into a wall.
God damn. Should have just grabbed the glasses.
And had the decency to rinse them before he put them on his face.
Please. In a bowl of water.
In a bowl of water.
That's right.
Other than a toilet bowl. Exactly.
Off yellow water.
We then get an on-location report from Kent Brockman, where he announces that things aren't as happy as they used to be down at the unemployment office.
That's a shame.
Joblessness is no longer just for philosophy majors. Yeah. Useful people are now starting to feel the pinch.
I haven't been able to find a job in 6 years.
And, what is your experience?
5 years of modern dance, 6 of tap.
I saw it in Barney all along. I saw it in him the whole time. Yeah.
I thought he had a military background, too.
Yeah, that's going to come in useful for his astronaut training coming up soon. And all that balance from doing all the dancing, ballet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all ties in together.
Yeah.
It all makes sense.
Smart writing.
So Kent Brockman goes on to announce that the economic slump has really started to hurt, especially after the closing of Fort Springfield, which devastated the city's liquor and prostitution industries.
Those poor girls.
Yeah, they want to head to Fort Bragg.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Now, at the risk of being unpopular, this reporter places the blame squarely on you, the viewers.
And Kent Brockman says what all reporters want to say.
Yeah, you know what? At least he has the balls to say what he believes, even if it is complete crap. So we see that the town has called a meeting. Everything in the city is, like I mentioned, they're really trying to show off just how bad Springfield has gotten. So they call for a meeting to figure out something to do. Mayor Quimby proposes that he takes the rest of the town's budget and moves to a more prosperous town where he can run for mayor there.
Yeah. But then once elected, he would send for the rest of them. It's a solid plan.
That's true. It's just like trickle-down economics. It's totally going to work.
If only he had $15 extra so he had enough to tip the sky caps with. He'd be set. He'd be set to go.
This is one of those sweet 8-year-old girl moments of Lisa, because she stands up with her piggy bank and she comes forward and says, I know that $15 isn't a lot, but it's all I have and I want to help. And like Ripken just said, Quimby just goes, just what I need. Just enough to tip the sky caps. So terrible. Poor Lisa.
Yeah. It's Mayor Quimby, come on. I don't know what she expected. They keep electing him. Okay. They keep electing him, you know? He's no
Pig
sideshow
Simpson
Bob.
also. Oh, that's true. Abe Simpson also has a master plan.
Yes.
He stands up for everybody and has a little something to say.
I'll tell you what made this town great. Good old-fashioned gumption. There's nothing here little elbow grease won't fix, so let's roll up our sleeves and...
So Quimby tries to calm everybody down, and then Skinner actually stands up with an idea, and he actually gets his whole point across without falling asleep, so that's nice.
Yes.
He's heard of other towns having great success with legalized gambling. And as risky as it might be, he thinks it could work for Springfield. And on top of that, they could even make enough money that there could be a little bit of extra cash to go to the terribly underfunded public school system.
Cricket sounds.
I like how they do this because of the way that Skinner... I thought it was odd that Skinner's the one that proposed this at first. Like, for the first half of the spiel, I'm like, really? This is Skinner's proposal?
That's odd, yeah.
That's what I
but then he
was
turns it
Then it
around and
makes
coming back
sense,
for the
yeah.
school, and you're like, oh, that's clever. Okay, I gotcha.
It's also, he could look like an idiot. It was all worth it in the end, yes. Good writing. Good writing.
Very much so. Very much so.
What a payoff.
Yes. Let's make him look like a fool.
But yeah, so everybody just goes dead quiet, like Ripken said, crickets. And then after a few moments of awkward silence, I think it was either Patty or Selma stands up and is just like, I like the part about the gambling. And then we actually get to my favorite joke in the entire episode, which I had to think about over multiple viewings because there are many that I really love in this episode. But this one absolutely kills me because Ned is concerned about what the Lord might think about gambling. But not to worry, because Reverend Lovejoy reassures him that once something's been approved by the government, it's no longer immoral. Oh my goodness, yeah. So everybody absolutely cheers to this and is super excited because that is actually how most of history has gone. If you look at things like the alcohol prohibition, and then they're like, oh, can't do that, so they followed it up with the marijuana prohibition. At least in the United States, I should specify. But yeah, it's the same exact concept. When the government goes against something, all of a sudden there's issues. But nope, it's fine again. So we can drink on Sunday after church if you want to. Yay! I love how blunt, because Mr. Burns is actually the next person who gets up in front of the town, and I absolutely love how blunt he is about his
extremely
plan.
honest, yes.
By building a casino, I could tighten my stranglehold on this dismal town.
Yay!
But for some reason, yay! Yeah, exactly. The whole crowd goes crazy. But to be fair, it's a pretty easy crowd, because literally all Barney does is
Yay!
And that makes everybody happy. Everybody's ready to celebrate the new plan that's going to save the town.
Yep. Mayor Quimby decides to stay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They have one other thing, though. They do have to ask if there are any objections. And, of course, everyone in town just assumes it's going to be Marge.
Actually, I think it could really help our economy.
Very well, then. Instead of fleeing this town, I'll sit back and grow fat off of kickbacks and slush funds.
Yay!
So everyone leaves the building happy. They're all excited. Even Marge states that she thinks this might be a whole new beginning for Springfield. And you know what the best part is? Homer comes up and he says, we've really done something for the children. And we pan across the town, and within moments of this announcement, keep in mind they haven't even built a casino yet. They've just announced that it's legal.
Yep.
And already the town, the night crowd, it's very much like if you've played the new South Park game, The Fractured But Whole. When you go out at nighttime, all the parents are just going wild, and that's essentially what all of the Springfielders are doing at this point. Because as we look across, we see such debauchery as kissing, dancing, drinking, and even setting off fireworks.
Good God.
What
there was
has
one
this
townsperson
world
that had
come
blue
to?
hair that seemed like it was like Marge's but hookered up, and I was like, is she doing something at night?
I did not catch that, to be honest. That's crazy. But that does bring us to the end of our first act on another little cliffhanger of what's to come. And of course, we still have to resolve that little hint that Ripken dropped earlier. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear from our pod pals.
I'm Jay.
I'm Bob.
And I'm Corey.
We are the Cretans Guild.
We're a trio of man-children whose friendship predates the Lion King, Green Day's Dookie, the N64, and the Chunnel.
We have backgrounds working in television, video games, radio broadcasting, creative writing, and pizza delivery. That's a large cheese, right?
On our podcast, Nerd or Not, you'll hear us talk about board games, TV, movies, comics, collectibles, video games, wrestling, theme parks. We even did a segment on pizza.
So check and listen to us on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. And check out our socials on Twitter and Instagram under Cretans Guild.
Welcome to the Guild.
So I gotta say, I wanted to bring something up here real quick. It's a breath of fresh air to just have Ripken on the show. I mean, I hope in the future we never have to put up with that other guy, that Goobs guy, especially if he's just going to be here by himself.
Oh.
Would this be a good time to announce that we'll be having Goobs or Jenny Bean on next season, and then the other one of those two on the following season?
Go!
It's okay, it'll be a good time. It's always a good time with the derailers, even if it's just one derailer or two derailers.
A derailer.
Yeah,
If it's one derail.
Yeah, you're always good with a derailer. On iTunes and Stitcher, by the way. Just saying. Just throwing that out there just now.
Okay, you're trying to incept. For a second, I was wondering if I was, like, missing something, because it sounded like you were coming on to me a little bit, and I was just like...
No!
Is this your mating call? Derailer!
Why not?
Derailer.
They're on to me.
So, we do open up our second act, coming back with Quimby and Burns discussing the plans for the new casino. They're out on the Springfield boardwalk, and Quimby's very happy that Burns has agreed to build the casino there. And Burns is happy as well, because, I mean, he does have some nice memories from his youth.
This is my favorite joke of the show, by far. I just love this part, man.
Oh, I'll never forget my carefree boyhood days on this old boardwalk.
And you actually see a flashback to Mr. Burns driving a bumper car, and there's no doubt whatsoever, he is laser focused on just running into this poor Irish man who's actually fixing
I feel bad
equipment.
because they've sent him out there to paint, well, all these, let alone Mr. Burns, but all these children are at play, and they've sent him out there to paint the railing.
I mean, it was like, what, the 20s or 30s?
But
there's like a good chance he'll accidentally get bumped as opposed to like this happening.
Yeah.
But even with no evil child, no little omen child,
it's
still a dangerous ass job.
Yeah, but not only that, he's doing it with his back turned to the action.
And when he does get slammed in the back of the legs, he immediately gets angry. Why you? Oh,
Master Burns! Carry on! Oh man, and then just how he complains. Who will provide for me wee ones?
And this starts Burns to go off on an evil laugh that just does not quit. He keeps laughing for like a week. It continues. He's in the shower. Yeah. He's in bed. He goes to church. Yeah. That's the best one. He's on his knees, supposedly.
Which implies that he at least got to a weekend at some point.
Right. Yeah. And then at least got back to his desk on Monday as well, because as he's sitting at his desk,
finally stops.
He actually stops, and he's like, wait, what was I laughing at now?
Yes, the crippled Irishman.
We've actually talked about on the show before that the commentary has mentioned several times that by far, without prejudice, they go after Irish people in terms of the number of jokes they make. They make a ton of jokes at Irish people's expense. And of all of the people that The Simpsons have offended over the years, the Irish, despite being the number one target, are the only group, or at least at the time of these recording sessions, which is circa 2004, they did not have a single complaint from any Irish group or organization complaining, because they were just like, yeah, it's funny, get over it.
I have to agree with
fairly
Ripken,
accurate,
this
yes.
joke in particular was... This joke in particular had me in stitches. The longer Burns laughed, the louder I got laughing while I was watching this.
It just kept going on so long,
And
I love the transition, how it went from boy Burns laughing to like adult Burns laughing.
Yeah. Also, you say how Ireland takes a lot of heat in this show, and that's true. But England takes a pretty big blow shortly right after this. So,
what are you talking about, Governor?
Fresh from the Isle of Sussex, they are.
God damn. I love having you on the show, but it's so hard to get through a fucking episode because I just can't stop laughing when you guys join us. It's great.
I give you Britannia!
Which is the coming up scene.
Right. So what's happening is Burns is actually getting a chance to look at some concepts from some casino designers. And this first person is a British man who is, he's presenting the Britannia.
Yes.
Which is gambling with all the glitz and glamour of the British Isles. Best of all, the waitresses and showgirls are all real Brits. Fresh from the streets of Sussex, they are.
Freshen your drink, governor.
Oh, she's a beauty.
Get out. Oh, yeah, she's a looker, you could say. She really fills out that United Kingdom flag.
Oh, the wardrobe. The wardrobe is what sells it. I feel like I'm actually in jolly old London.
Yeah. I also really love the next presenter, who's a total hippie dude. He's like, all right, man, wait now, dig this, man.
Out.
Get out.
Whoa.
And literally his whole presentation is like a bunch of tents and a stage. Like, there's no casino anywhere. What is there, like slot machines in the tents?
I don't know if he knew what he was there for. He just knew it involved Aerosmith and Van Halen.
And a lot of acid.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, ho, whoa, oh, just let me get my head together.
Ouch!
And then finally we have the sea captain, who has a phenomenal idea. Yeah, this is a wonderful pitch.
I'm sold.
So
Yeah.
I don't think it's for a casino. He's gonna need some things.
I'll need 3 ships and 50 stout men. We'll sail round the Horn, and we'll turn with spices and silk, the likes of which you've never seen.
We're building a casino.
Arr, can you give me 5 minutes?
I love that. I really wish they would present his 5-minute casino proposal.
Yeah, no, I'd love to see
what
it.
he comes up with. It's probably just an expanded
most casinos
version
have
of Flying
buffets
Dutchman.
anyways, like seafood buffets.
Exactly.
Wouldn't be surprised if he just wrote casino on the ship portrait somewhere on the ship and just brought it back. She's on the sea, you see.
Which Burns' final idea kind of has a sea-like thing.
Oh, very much
so.
so.
About
Yeah,
it.
tons of sex appeal.
Tons of sex appeal,
Yeah.
that's right.
That's what sells.
Mr. Burns is actually very unimpressed with all of these ideas you've seen,
Yeah.
and he decides they're idiots, so he'll just design it himself.
Yeah.
He knows what people like. It's sex appeal
I know
and
what
a catchy
people
name. He calls it Mr. Burns Casino.
He literally
And-
he had none of those.
And to Richie's point earlier, the logo is a giant mermaid statue of but it has a Mr. Burns top, basically. So half Burns with a fishtail and I guess you could argue, provocative pose is what he was
Extremely
going for.
provocative.
I thought he had like the sand shell bra on or something.
He may have. Honestly, I
so.
don't remember that specifically, but that might be right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was something to try to up the sex appeal,
Yeah.
as we know sex sells.
But how fast was this built, too, by the way?
They make it seem like it was overnight, but
Yeah.
Man, when you got money, you can make things happen like that.
and not only that, but in that
Unless you're
overnight
Trump.
span, they also hired an entire staff, including Homer.
Including Homer, who gets to fulfill one of his lifelong dreams.
Yes!
He just discovered. For now, though, we're back at that Simpsons home. That's actually where we're about to encounter Homer and his new profession. But first, Lisa needs a little bit of help with her geography pageant outfit.
Yeah.
She has to dress as one of the 50 states, and she's really not sure which one she should go as.
She shouldn't go as Nevada. It makes her butt look big.
Yeah. No, Mom,
But
that makes my butt looks big.
Oh, I thought Homer was the one that suggested that. I don't even remember at this point.
No, it was Marge. In honor of legalized
Okay,
gambling,
okay.
go as the state of Nevada. No, Nevada makes my butt look big.
So Marge goes with Florida instead, and Lisa wants a second.
Don't you mean Florida?
Florida. For now, it's Florida. It will become Florida, but for now, Lisa wants a second opinion.
Wait, it's not like that in real life?
You have to ask the old people who live there.
Yeah, that's true. That's the population.
Ask the mouse.
And I don't think any of them listen to this show, so it's going to be tough to get feedback. And those that do probably don't have Twitter.
If you remember when the streets were paved with gold in Springfield, please tweet at our show at bestdarndiddly. That's DIDDLY.
Man, I really hope we find out from this that we are just killing it in the retirement home market. Like that's what people tune in each week to make sure they don't miss Best Darn Diddly.
The Best Darn Diddly's on the radios again.
Who?
Come listen.
Huh?
My grandson told me about it. He put it on my computers for me.
I don't want any pudding.
Yes, exactly.
He's my grandson too, okay?
And we just lost all of our audience.
All of our Florida audience.
That's right. Bye, Florida. It was nice knowing you. But when Lisa goes to get advice from her father, he's a little bit busy at the moment.
Yes.
Shh! I'm trying to teach the baby to gamble.
Why?
I got a job at Burns Casino, and as you know, it's been my lifelong dream to become a blackjack dealer.
Your lifelong dream was to go on the Gong Show, and you did it last year.
You see this great flashback where Homer and Barney are wearing a single set of overalls together and playing a giant harmonica. They're on the Gong Show, which was actually a real-life TV show, a show that actually played on American television. It was a afternoon, weekday, essentially it was a talent show is what it was more than anything. Yes. So it's kind of a game show, but not really in that traditional... Yeah, essentially you're just trying to avoid the gong. And when Homer gets back, he's got a great line there. We got more gongs than the breakdancing robot that caught on fire.
I just want to point out, this is hilarious for me because this is now, like you guys said, my third, fourth time on the show. But it's my second episode where I have come on and been a part of Homer's lifelong dream. Because if you remember, in Marge versus the Monorail, which I was also a part of with the rest of the Derailers,
yeah.
Homer's other lifelong dream in that episode was to run out onto the field. And he did that as well, so...
Homer is a very fortunate man.
Yes, he accomplishes lifelong dreams.
He gets some shit done.
Yeah, like good on him. He's a go-getter.
Maybe there's something to lying on the couch in your underwear, and just waiting for life to come at you.
Yes.
Who needs to chase?
I could learn from this man.
Just crack another beer, lay out in your hammock, and great things will happen for you. If I've learned nothing else from The Simpsons, that's what I've learned.
Exactly.
I'm wondering if all of Homer's lifelong dreams, if you put them together, like if it would be like a Rainier Wolfcastle McBain thing where it might have an actual like different show that Homer's a part of or something like that. I don't know. Like I wonder if they all connect in some oddly fascinating way.
As smart as the Simpsons writers are, it wouldn't surprise me if years after the show ended, like on somebody's deathbed, they revealed all these hidden jokes that nobody ever got that were just part of the show for them.
Yeah.
He's an eventful guy.
Speaking of events, it's opening night at the Mr. Burns Casino, and Burns has actually hired former heavyweight boxer Jerry Cooney as his greeter. He welcomes Otto. He's welcoming everybody, but he specifically seems to be welcoming Otto Man into the casino, and Otto's just kind of shrugging him off a little bit. But he actually puts his arm around Otto and is trying to talk him into the VIP program, so Otto ain't taking it. He says, "Hey, I said bug off," and he actually knocks out...
Hey, I said bug off.
And he actually knocks out Jerry Cooney. So...
he's got a good right hook, man.
He does. Former heavyweight boxer, Jerry Cooney, yeah. So there's an interesting... I don't know if this is related or not. This could be completely just wrong, essentially, because I'm just putting some dots together of my own. But on IMDb, it lists that the TV guide for this episode actually had an error in it where they listed the guest star, or one of the guest stars for this episode, as Perry Como, as an actor. And I wonder if maybe through some sloppy writing, if it wouldn't be possible that they got Jerry Cooney and Perry Como mistaken, essentially, and that's how that ended up in the TV guide. But again, that's totally
Stick that in your crossword puzzle.
Yeah, exactly. That's 18 down on the 17th of February, 2097. Fuck that joke up.
I didn't really understand the relevance of the Jerry Cooney getting knocked out by Otto, if there was any, to be honest.
I just think it's one of those ironic things where you put somebody who... It's kind of like when they did something similar during the Homer at the Bat episode, where one of them got in a fight with Barney and he gets knocked
Wade
out.
Boggs.
Yes, it is Wade Boggs.
Yeah.
You still need to watch that Simpsons special they did where Wade Boggs still is arguing. The special just came out this year, and Wade Boggs was still arguing about it where he said that he still had the right choice. And he actually backed it up with facts, too. It was fantastic.
I'm excited to see that.
That
I have not been able to find that one just yet. So we get to see Homer, like I said, he actually gets to live out another lifelong dream. He's at the blackjack table and he's dealing. Let's see, 18, 27, 35, dealer bust.
Looks like I'll win again.
Yeah, Homer, you have to have my lucky hat. I wore it the day Kennedy was shot, and it's always bringing me good luck.
Why, thanks, Senator. Oh, looks like my shift's over.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
And everybody storms out. They're all gone because clearly Homer isn't quite getting the point of the casino.
I couldn't help notice that all the people playing at the table at the time, it was just basically the rich of Springfield. It's Homer helping the rich get richer. Troy McClure,
Yeah,
the rich
This might have been the
Texan.
first time we see the rich Texan.
Yeah.
I didn't note that, but you might. I think he's made appearances in a mob before, but now that you say that,
Yes.
No,
I
this
may
was
not have.
clearly like him, but like not him, because I don't think he's actually a senator, but like you could tell this might be the first time they were like getting to the rich Texan finally.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Yeah.
I definitely like kind of like we said with other characters as well, where you kind of even Ralph Wiggum, who you saw before he ever became Ralph. I love as we travel around the casino and get a look at what's going on. We also see Abe and Apu are at the craps table together, and Abe is he's excited.
He's got the arthritis, guys. Come on now. Here we go.
We'll just deal with it, Richie. Go ahead. Come on, Lucky 7. Papa needs a new pair of spats. I want some of that sweet, sweet do-re-mi. Fat City, here I
Please
come.
roll the dice.
Don't rush me. I have arthritis.
Will the gentleman please roll the dice?
All right, smart guy. Ow, ow, crying out loud. I dropped one. Ow, now it's in my shoe. Ow, ow, ow.
And he does the old Abe shuffle right out of there.
Yeah, he's hopping right on out. You know what? It's probably a
Which this
ploy.
is the
He probably
second time
shoved
he's
some
been in the casino.
I was thinking he shoved a bunch of chips in his pocket and then he pretended to hurt himself and slip out.
Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Play the senile old man trick.
Well, remember when he had B's money? He had B's
that's
money and
right.
he took it to the casino and Homer tried to stop him.
I forgot about that. That's a good call right there.
He knows what he's doing.
I get those occasionally.
So we next see one of the most famous of the so-called Simpsons predictions moment. And this is actually one of two in this episode, actually, that we just had the opportunity to talk about on the Secret Transmission podcast, which was an absolute blast. We got to go on and have an episode about Simpsons conspiracies, and then it just so happens, that was literally just a few days ago, and then it just so happens that this next episode we're reviewing has two of those instances in it. This is one of them. We see magicians Gunter and Ernst,
Yes.
who are demonstrating their abilities. They have a trained albino tiger riding a unicycle. And this is
Unicorn.
It's smoking a pipe as well. Come on.
It's just an incredible animal.
Don't
Let's be
downplay
real.
the tiger, man. It's doing so much more than just riding a unicycle.
Well, and the magicians encourage applause, and they're like, oh, don't worry, this is so much better for her than the savagery of the jungle ever was.
Yes, yeah. Terrible place it looked like.
Yeah, it shows a flashback where she just got to be sleeping peacefully in Africa, and then she was essentially captured by hunters in a jeep. It was them.
Hey, tiger!
Wake up!
A round of applause, please,
honestly,
for Anastasia.
Honestly, you have to give those magicians props. They got their hands dirty. They went out and they caught their own animals. They became their own animal handlers. So,
That's
true. She loves show business so much nicer than the savagery of the jungle, Ja.
I think you might be able to argue that they get what they deserve, but of course this is oddly reminiscent because these two magicians are clearly based on Siegfried and Roy.
True.
This episode released in 1993, and it was just 10 years later in 2003 that in real life, the tiger that Siegfried and Roy performed with, actually, I believe it was Roy who was attacked on stage in a live performance. Yeah, it's and he was very seriously injured. I believe it ended his career, if I'm not mistaken.
He suffered like severe blood loss, and it was.
Yeah, so very eerie that 10 years in advance this was predicted. But like I mentioned, we talked about that. Or just
probable that something that happens when you have an animal performing that's not supposed to be an animal that you actually, have in your house, even if your house is giant. I mean, don't poke the bear, basically. Right?
All right, so you're totally right. I was trying to do a little teaser for the Secret Transmission podcast where I didn't give away exactly how we felt about that particular instance. But if you'd like to hear our thoughts on all the rest of the Simpson predictions, definitely go and check out the Secret Transmission podcast. And like I said, we are actually, we're going to be on both the Simpsons Conspiracy episode and the After Dark immediately following that. And we were fortunate enough to be live in studio when Toby proposed to Kristen, and she said yes. So congratulations to both of those guys. That was really fun to be a part of.
Wait, we were in their home? I don't remember any of that.
There was a lot of alcohol involved.
No, you
so
wouldn't,
hopefully
Richie.
Kristen remembered. We were a little worried that Kristen would remember if she said yes or not. Back to the Simpsons.
Yeah.
This is where we get into the territory where I misremember this episode, because I absolutely remember this being a Bart episode when I saw it as a kid. Like, I would have sworn that the A plot of this episode, or not necessarily the A plot, but the part of Bart being a casino operator was a much more significant portion of this episode, and it definitely was the part that spoke to me the most as a kid. For now, we see Bart just sitting at the slot machines gambling, and he actually is lucky enough to hit the jackpot. Unfortunately, though, the hotel or the casino staff notices that he looks a little young.
Yes. Are you over 21?
Are you? And he's like, I'm not authorized to answer that. So Bart is literally thrown from the casino. But he does yell back, by the way, your martinis suck.
Oh yeah? What are you gonna do? Start your own casino in your tree house and get all your little friends to come? I'd like to see that.
So in the very next scene, we swipe and it's Bart piling all of the kids in town into his brand new treehouse casino. Hi, yeah, welcome. Have a lucky day.
Well, he certainly showed me.
So I don't usually talk about the deleted scenes in the DVDs, but I am going to talk about a couple on this episode because they're really cool. This one in particular is really, really fun because this is the James Bond parody I was talking about earlier. Basically what happens is, in the episode that we actually saw, right after that scene with Bart, we immediately see a scene where Homer's dealing blackjack and Marge approaches the table. But originally there was actually a transition scene where Homer's dealing at that table, and we see a man who very much resembles James Bond, and also a man who resembles the enemy Oddjob. And they're playing some high-stakes blackjack. They're talking about it being for their life. And essentially, when Bond talks about how he never loses, and then he says, hit me, Homer flips over a joker. Bond gets really mad, and of course is like, you're supposed to remove those. So Homer's like, oh, sorry. And then he flips over the rules of blackjack card that comes with the bicycle text. So this causes Bond to be thrown off his game, and he's actually drug away by the villains right before Marge approaches, and we continue the scene. And if you think that sounds way too familiar, like you must have seen that before, they do actually. That's one of the scenes that they are going to play in the 138th episode special.
And it won't be the last time that Homer ends Bond's life, basically.
They like to go that route for sure.
Don't step across Bond's greatest nemesis is actually Homer, I would say.
So that after the James Bond scene, we get to the actual scene that, again, in the cut version of the episode, it goes straight from Bart's scene to this, and Marge just approaches that same blackjack table. It's really funny. Actually, it flusters Homer because she says, "Hey, homie," and he immediately tosses all the he loses control of all the cards and makes a giant mess.
Yes, forcing one of his customers to leave.
Right. Homer starts to gloat a little bit at Marge, which is a running theme throughout this episode, something that he's going to do a lot. He's really starting to poke the bear quite a bit, because he's like, "Hey, Marge, after your big tantrum against legalized gambling, I bet it feels pretty weird to be in a casino."
I was for the casino!
I love this little running joke they have, and ever since the town hall meeting, where everybody just expects Marge to be the sourpuss, the kink in the plan, and even though she's actually the one that was like, "Oh no, I'm fully on board," people still treat her as if she's some sort of stick in the mud.
Strike 3, Marge. I was at that town meeting and I remember it pretty well.
He claims to have a photographic memory.
Yes. That's
And then we see in Homer's memory, everything is just completely wacky. The simple things are just Marge's colors are wrong, so she has a blue dress and green hair. Her pearls are different. There's a person in the crowd that has a spring for a neck.
Yes.
Homer has super buff arms. There's just so much wrong with this whole thing. And he remembers what Marge said, which is, of course, "You can build a casino over my dead body, blah, 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 blah,
while
blah,
holding
blah,
a rolling
blah.
pin.
Yeah, that's right. And then we see a man from off screen.
With a baseball glove.
That's right, yeah.
And a 3-headed Apu.
And then you see a man from off screen bring in a telephone. It's actually he has tentacle hands that he hands it to and says, "For you, sir, it's the president."
Then I said to the president, I said.
And Homer's super muscly,
and he's telling
too.
a story. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, he's way ripped. Homer gets back, he's like, and as Ripken is saying, "And then I said to the president, get this, Marge? And he's talking to nobody. He was telling the story so long, everybody walked away. I have no idea what that's like.
Sorry, were you saying something?
We see Marge actually leaving the casino with Maggie, but dang the luck in a lot of ways, because you'd think finding a quarter on the ground was a good thing, but it's going to start something in this episode that becomes quite
It was a great thing. What are you talking about?
Well, she immediately finds that quarter and decides, she tries to find the owner, or she calls out to locate it. She decides, what the hell, she'll just drop it in the slot machine, and she immediately...
First, in typical Marge fashion, she asked if I wonder if there's a lost and found.
That's what it was, yeah, lost and found. Good call. But she ends up popping it in the machine, and she wins 4 quarters. So, pretty good start. Good turnaround on her money.
75 cents.
And she's going to take it. Just walk out, be happy with her gains. But when she gets to the front door, she just takes a couple steps outside, and she checks her watch and decides, I guess I have a little bit more time. And we see her walk back in. And now we're going to transition back to Bart in the treehouse. And I do have to say, I talked about it a little bit, but as a kid, this was absolutely my completely favorite thing ever. I love seeing Bart do this. I love Bart, the whole concept of him running a casino. And in fact, this partially inspired me. I got in a little bit of trouble in middle school because I created this quarter gambling game where you could, I didn't invent it. I just looked it up and made it for the school. Or something I could take to school, a simple version. But long story short, I gave people the opportunity in middle school to gamble with their quarters, and of course, they had the opportunity to win money, but the whole gimmick was about 60% of the time I won, about 40% of the time they won. So long story short, enough people played, I ended up making money. And that went on for 2 weeks before I got shut down by the school administration for, being a little hustler. Which I tell you, I think back and wish I would have, if Shark Tank would have been around, I would have brought that in and tried to get that thing licensed across the country.
Ended up in casinos all over Vegas.
That's right. I was like in like 7th grade or something like that. So,
Jeez.
Quite the entrepreneur. I've made a few Cokes.
I always wanted to see like more of Bart's Casino, and I know we get like little glimpses of it, but I thought that would have been great because like I felt like we didn't get to like go through it enough and see everything that could have happened with that storyline.
Well, I do know there's at least one other deleted scene we're going to get to in Bart's Casino that'll help you out just a little bit. But for now, we actually see that it's doing a lot better than you would have thought it would be. I mean, for one, he's got a lighted sign outside announcing his performers, which tonight you've got the Magic of Millhouse, and then next week's going to feature an Evening with Jimbo.
Exciting, yes. Yeah, good stuff.
I can't wait to, even if it's half as good as an Evening with Kevin Smith, I'll be all in.
Exactly, no, I'm sure it'll be the same thing.
Where do you think Kevin Smith got the idea from?
Simpsons did it, that's right.
Went and saw Jimbo Jones.
I think an Evening with Kevin Smith was like 94, 95, so that's maybe a little later, but I think 94, 95 sounds right, so that's actually pretty funny that could have been inspired. I hope he's a Simpsons fan. We do get a little glimpse inside of Bart's Casino, and a couple of things he offers is he's got prop bets available, like Krabappel's Nervous Breakdown at 2 to 1.
2 to 1 odds, for sure.
Fat Kid's Popular at 50 to 1. That's a little.
I'm
bit
assuming
more
that's Ooter.
He's got to be really, really. He's going to have to be really funny. Ooter's a good guess on that.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's Ooter because no one likes Ooter, even up until
unless he's giving you chocolate. But
that's true. Yeah.
I also like Bart gets his own TV show at 1,000 to 1.
Yeah. But likely odds, likely odds.
In addition to that, that's worth putting $1 down just in case.
Like, is that like a meta joke right there? Because
Oh, I think so.
Simpsons do kind of have their own show
inside for sure.
Yeah.
We also get to see that Bart set up a little buffet, which really it's just a table with some snacks on it, but still, it's important to have that opportunity for your guests to stay satisfied, so they don't want to leave.
Exactly.
Jimbo is running the craps table, which is really more of a craps carpet, but it's still working, doing the job.
Using an actual rake to collect them chips.
Yeah, that's right. It's like he probably stole it from Willie. We also, this is where I was talking about, there's a deleted scene that I can see why it got deleted. It probably was too violent. I didn't hear anything about that, but it makes sense it would be. But long story short is you actually see that Martin is sitting at the roulette table and he's discovered a flaw in the weight of the wheel that has caused it to land on the number 34 a larger percentage of times than it should. So he's sitting there with fat stacks of chips. Bart walks by and he snaps and says, "Toss him." And we see Nelson come up and pick him up out of his chair and literally throw him out of the treehouse. So again, I can see why they might have decided to pull that joke.
Little too realistic
much
for the
like
casino world.
We also have Millhouse on stage, who is attempting to do some magic, but he's trying to make a cat disappear inside of a mystery box, and unfortunately, step 1 is put cat inside a box, and that's the part he's really hung up on.
Behold, as I put the cat inside the box. In the box. Yeah.
The cat gets so upset that the cat that was hiding under a Millhouse's head also gets super upset and starts to freak out, and then both cats attack Millhouse to the audience applause. So at least he entertained the crowd.
It's always good to see Millhouse get hurt. I'm sorry, but it's true. In any shape or form, it's just
You're
hilarious.
An awful human being, Ripken.
Yeah,
That's
no, I know. I don't know what it is
well,
about
Millhouse. It's also parallel to what we saw in the previous scene where Gunter and Ernst were being attacked by an animal on stage.
That's true, yeah, a cat at that. So, it just goes to show you don't work with cats.
Cats are the devil. That's what it means.
In any shape or form. Yeah. Yeah.
We get another spot of Homer at his dream job. This time it's this great little parody of the movie Rain Man, because we see characters that very much look like Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise from that movie. And Homer's just absolutely ecstatic. He's excited that they're actually winning. 21? Do that card counting thing again. Come on, do it again. Do it again.
Egging him into doing something illegal. Legal, not legal.
Definitely must leave the table.
No, please. No.
No. We gotta go watch Wagner. Definitely gotta go watch Wagner.
So Homer grabs Dustin Hoffman's character's arm. I can't remember. I think Raymond was his name. So He grabs his arm, and then that makes Raymond start to freak out. Because if you've not seen the movie Rain Man, essentially, Dustin Hoffman's character is an autistic person who happens to be, I think he's actually a mathematical savant who, he's really, really good with numbers, really, really strong with math, but he has some social tics. And Tom Cruise's character is somewhat of a shark who discovers his ability to count blackjack and takes full advantage of it, but he's very much making fun of one of the tics in that movie. But what's really funny is Raymond starts to scream and starts hitting himself in the head with his palm like he would do in the movie, Homer starts to imitate this, so both characters are just screaming and slapping themselves.
It's a great scene.
We haven't seen Burns in a while. I mentioned that his screen time is limited in this episode, but when he's on, he steals it, and this scene is no exception. We notice that he's just staring at his security monitors, and Smithers is starting to get concerned because he says, "Sir, you haven't slept in 5 days since the casino opened." Burns doesn't care, though, because he's found the perfect business.
People swarm in, empty their pockets, and scuttle off. Nothing can stop me now. Except microscopic germs. But we won't let that happen, will we, Smithers?
No, sir. And this is where we start to see signs of Mr. Burns' story, which, again, is very brief but very effective, because he's mimicking what happened with Howard Hughes. And there's going to be some more tie-ins with him later. But Howard Hughes was a eccentric billionaire who essentially became a germaphobe and was obsessed with keeping everything spotless. There's also a great parody in the movie Creepshow. It's a great little comic spoof horror style movie I love to watch around Halloween, but one of the stories in Creepshow is also about that same exact, or very similar. With his, it was insects specifically, I do believe. Great scene, though.
I've never seen that. Okay.
Oh, you should check it out. If you love horror, it's a good one.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It's kind of campy, but intentionally so. Yeah. Back on the ground floor, because all of that took place up in the penthouse, so back on the ground floor of the casino, Marge is still sitting at that same slot machine, methodically pounding quarters over and over again. You can see Maggie by her feet, but she's getting bored, so she starts spinning her pacifier up into the air.
Yeah, very talented, yeah.
Only Maggie. Impressive. Yeah, almost magical, you might say. Only Maggie, but she must have lost focus of her power, because at some point she spits the pacifier up in the air and it lands in a woman's cup of quarters that she's using in the slots. Maggie starts to chase her down because she wants her pacifier back, and at some point she actually ends up climbing onto the craps table. I love the response here. A baby on the table! Yep. That's good luck! Yay!
Snake eyes!
Boo! We see Gunter and Ernst again, who are leaving the theater with their tiger, but a fan stops them long enough so Maggie can start tugging on the tiger's whiskers. And I have to say, it looked like that tiger got pretty angry and was about ready to smack Maggie. I like to believe that she used her magical powers to freeze the tiger and summon Barney, who she could sense was nearby and was a friend of her father's. So Barney comes and swoops her up, and he has a great interaction with Marge here as well.
Marge, you gotta be more careful! Your little boy Bart almost got eaten by that pony!
Marge seems somewhat graceful, but she also doesn't seem shaken by the incident really at all. She's just like, "Oh, I never would have forgiven myself." And then she literally just puts her back down.
Puts her right back just down. Grabs a pacifier out of her hair, which makes me wonder
good
what
place
else
to store it. Maybe that's where that shotgun Homer uses later is kept. Or should be, it'll be safer.
Yeah.
But yeah, when Barney watches her go back to the slot machine, it's great here. Man, that's classic compulsive behavior. But immediately he sees a waitress holding a tray of beers on it. Wow, free beer! And he immediately starts chugging all three.
Well, the third one was not beer.
One of those cups was actually a thing of quarters, and somebody gets angry, because after all, those are my quarters. And then there's this great sequence where every time Barney burps, which as you know is frequently, a little thing of quarters comes crashing out.
Hey, this guy's paying off!
That's great. We also see that Krusty the Clown has landed a gig at the casino, and it's a XXX adults-only showcase.
Yes, the Midnight Show.
I don't want to hit a sore spot, But can we talk about herpes? Herpes, bo burpees, banana, fana, fo furpees, herpes. Ow! Hey, that spot on Gorbachev's head? Herpes, trust me. Anybody here have herpes? Huh?
Get another instance of just total crickets here.
You people...
You're the worst comedian we've ever seen!
You people are the worst audience I've ever seen.
That's it. My bad. You're the worst comedian we've ever seen! I jumped the gun.
Oh, great. Well, we'll just sit here silently for the next 90 minutes.
Yeah, well, that sounds good to us.
So Krusty's, they're just literally everybody in the audience just sits bored. Which, why would he just leave the theater?
And that's actually where finally I can drop my big surprise. Going back to the B-Sharps.
The B-Sharps, the opener of season 5.
Yes, a member of the audience there is Barney's girlfriend from that very same episode. She's sitting right beside the gentleman who's heckling Krusty.
Nicely done, sir. Nicely done. I did not get that at all.
Yeah.
So Barney's artistic Asian girlfriend.
There's no plum in a hat floating in.
Well, I don't know that you could see what was in her cup holder.
That's true. That's a good point. Or in her lap.
So you're saying that she likes big fat guys that are going to be getting paid well for entertainment, but she doesn't actually approach Krusty because there's not a whole real sellout, so to speak, in the audience.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. She was just scouting the talent. Unfortunately, didn't look good. Did not look good.
So we get another very brief scene up in the penthouse again here where Burns is now going into germophobic overdrive. He's spraying disinfectant everywhere and complaining about them being everywhere. Smithers asks Burns what he means exactly by that, and then you get this great shot in the second reference, or the second thing we talked about on the Secret Transmission podcast. Because you go zooming in so close, such an extreme close-up, that you can actually see the germs on Smithers' skin, and they're all chanting that Freemasons run the country.
Freemasons run the country!
That was great. There are some that claim that this was actually placed here by the powers that be, by the Illuminati, to precondition us as a society for the takeover of our government by the NWO. Which, for you non-wrestling fans, is the New World Order. I don't know why Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash want to run everything in the world, but hey, it seems like there's a big conspiracy that they're trying to take over everything.
Hey, I'm down with that. I'm down with the faction.
I'm down with that black and white, for certain.
Yeah, that's right.
For life. Back at the casino once more, it's becoming clear as well, while Burns is becoming a germaphobe, Marge is becoming an addict. Homer's walking out and is actually excited for a second. He's like, "Oh, Marge, you waited for me." But Marge clearly didn't. She barely acknowledges him, and he's like, "All right, let's go." But still, just nothing. He's like, "But Marge, I'm taking the car," and she's just like, "Yeah, fine, I'll walk." She ignores Homer's concerns about it being late and the fact that it's a bad neighborhood. And it just keeps going on like this to the point where finally Marge is like, "Homer, go home. You're bad luck."
Wait. I see what's happening here. You're just mad because everyone in this town loves gambling except for you. Well, that's just sad.
Well, Homer walks off somewhat disgusted with his wife, thinking, how she's just a fun killer and not down to have a good time, and obviously doesn't notice that she's clearly having a lot of gambling occurring. Too much fun.
Too fun.
And that does bring us to the end of our second act, so we're going to take another very quick break, and we'll be back to wrap up the episode.
And now it's time for our favorite part of the show. What's that say? Ads and sponsorship. Ugh, this is gonna be a real nightmare. Okay, what do you got for me? Patreon.com? What the hell is that? And they just give us money for it? Oh, if only we had that around in the 70s. Make sure you ask your mommies and daddies to send money to bestdarndiddly at patreon.com so they can drive a dump truck full of money up to our houses. Uh-oh. I said the loud part quiet and the quiet part loud.
So this time when we get back from the break, we're actually in the exact same place we were when we left. It opens up with Marge yet again at the slot machine, just pumping quarters into that thing. I hope she's doing all right, which I guess we'll find out in a little bit if she's up or down.
She can't be broke yet, I guess.
Can't be entirely broke yet. Yeah. It gets to the point, though, where we actually see Smithers and a couple of the casino goons approach Marge, and she's almost instantly annoyed by them. She's like, "What do you want?"
Are you? What is the line? Have you had enough gambling yet, or something?
Excuse me, ma'am. Do you think you've gambled enough?
Yes.
Or don't you think you've gambled enough?
No.
Okay, we're required by law to ask every 75 hours. Get her another free drink. That's
75
over 3
hours.
days.
Over 3 days. Yeah. That's a
Straight.
lot of gambling. Yep. Yikes. And combine that with alcohol, or I guess maybe they're bringing her coffee. I would hope at that point. She needs something. She's a nap.
No, one straight drink, like one drink every hour, that'll keep you going.
If that truly was the law back then, I really hope they've decreased that number of hours. Like, fuck.
There's a reason they don't put.
I bet it's gone
they
upward. They probably don't have to at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they actually have like an obligation to do that.
Yeah, they want you to keep getting drunk and keep spending money.
They do have to put Gambling Anonymous numbers up all over the place, like on the backs of on basically every slot machine, or at least this is how it is in certain areas that I've gambled, and probably not everywhere, but a lot of places will actually require that they have like a 800 number available so you can call if you think you have a problem, which could have done Marge well, arguably.
Background noise.
Yeah.
So at the Simpsons home, we can see, just like they usually do when Marge is not around, the house is essentially falling apart. Dishes are piling up. Everything is going bad. Lisa's downright worried. But we can see that Bart's actually got other things on his mind. He's kind of got his tuxedo still sloppily on, but it's uncuffed around the collar, and he's very stressed out on the phone. You see, he had a Liza Minnelli impersonator booked, but it turned out to actually be Liza Minnelli. I love just the random jabs they take at people, though. It does make me laugh because, like when we had Carolyn Omine on the show, she didn't say who it was, but, like, for instance, she talked about how her kid ended up going to school with a kid of somebody that they made one of these jokes at. So it's just like, you gotta hope they have a good sense of humor, because it's just kind of picked out of thin air to be funny.
Please don't see me, please don't see me, please don't see me.
So Homer comes down and opens the fridge looking for something to eat, but Lisa says, "Sorry, there's nothing for breakfast." And Homer's like reassuring her, "Honey, you just gotta improvise. A little bit of cloves, some Tom Collins mix, a frozen pie crust."
Bam.
Maybe Mom just doesn't realize we missed her. We could go down to the casino and let her know.
Oh, come on, Lisa. There's no reason to. Takes a bite. Chomp, chomp. Let's go see
Let's go get Mom.
To be fair, that is probably one of the nastiest concoctions that you could imagine.
Yeah.
Like, if you've ever played the game King's Cup, or some people call it Waterfall, or Ring of Fire, the one where you got to draw various cards. I know there's a variation where you get to pour something in the center cup, and it can get pretty gross at times for anybody who played that in college. And
it turns out the Simpsons did it, and we need to change the name of that game to Pie Crust.
To frozen pie crust.
Tom Collins mixed cloves and pie crust.
That's it. Oh, that's just wrong.
This is not just giving them fast food.
Honestly, this is one of the few times where I think pink slime is better than Tom Collins and cloves. They actually do go and see Marge, though, and she's not hard to find, which makes me wonder why she will be later, but we'll get there. She's still at that same slot machine, and the kids and Homer walk in and say, "Marge, we've got to talk. You are spending way too much time at this casino, And I think you
I won $60!
Woo! Problem solved.
Yoink.
For $60, that's all it takes. It's like, yeah, your mental health isn't that much
After
of a concern
over
anymore.
3 days, when you're playing quarters every time, you only have $60.
Oh, yikes.
She's really getting her playtime out of those slots, man.
We get back to the Simpsons home, and this time it's nighttime, and we see Lisa wake up frightened because she had a bad dream, and she's calling out for her mother, which this part's actually a little bit sad if you think about it, because her mom is somewhat absentee at the moment. She's still at the casino, so she has to go to Homer instead. And of course, this isn't going to go well here.
Did we skip over Burns and the Spruce Goose?
I totally did skip over a Burns
Spruce
scene. I'm
Moose
so sorry, yeah. And it's a great one, too, because Burns is actually going deeper and deeper into his insanity. This time, he's holding a small model plane in his hands, and he's telling Smithers about this great idea that he has.
Smithers, I've designed a new plane. I call it the Spruce Moose, and it will carry 200 passengers from New York's Idlewild Airport to the Belgian Congo in 17 minutes.
That's quite a nice model, sir.
Model?
Model?
So Burns has officially lost it, and the next scene with him is even greater. But for now, we get back to Lisa's bad dream, and she actually goes to Homer, who ends up, of course, making it worse. To be fair, it starts out sweet because he's trying to help. He asked what went wrong and wants to talk to her about her dream, but as soon as she brings up the boogeyman, it causes Homer to panic. Ah! Boogeyman! You nail the windows down and I'll get the gun! And worse, he actually runs into Bart's room, wakes him up from his sleep screaming, Bart, there's at least one, if not multiple boogeymen
Bart,
in the house.
I don't want to alarm you, but there may be a boogeyman or boogeymen in the house. Naturally, Bart freaks out, as any child should.
So, things just go down the spiral quick here. The house is absolutely in shambles. We actually see Marge pull up in the driveway, and when she approaches the house, there's already shotgun blast in the doorway. All the furniture has been moved into a barricade, and the Simpsons family is huddled behind a mattress, clutching a shotgun. They actually point it at Marge. The exchange here is once again just absolutely great, because Marge is, of course, confused at what the fuck is going on, and Homer's just like, oh, nothing, Marge, just a little incident involving the boogeyman. He tosses the gun to the side. It fires, by the way. And, of course, none of this would have happened if you'd been here to keep me from acting stupid.
Always Marge's fault, never Homer's.
No accountability
That's
whatsoever.
right. That's what marriage is all about.
Yeah.
Well, we know the monster whose fault this really
do.
is, but we'll
do.
get to him
Damn
shortly.
you, gambler!
Or we'll get to him now.
For now, though, Marge apologizes, and she says she's going to be around more, and it's almost seems like this could be our Simpsons reset moment. Like, this could be the end. Marge is assuring Lisa she's going to help out with her costume. She even says that I promised that she's going to help, so she promised her. Marge and Lisa hug, and Homer is like, "Oh, just like TV." And this is a great joke because he actually trips over an ottoman, much like Dick Van Dyke does in the old sitcom in the intro. But this is a time where The Simpsons actually adds a laugh track into the show, which is really funny. Now, on IMDb, it states that this is the only time that The Simpsons ever use a laugh track, though I'm a little bit hesitant to believe that, because I could have sworn they use a laugh track in Senior Bumblebee. But I could be misremembering.
Yeah, but that's like a Spanish laughy track. That's different, Miles.
Laughter in
That's
Espanol,
a laughing
got
track
it. Not
within
the
a
same.
show that's within the show.
That's a laughing track with a little ampersand over the top of it or whatever, right?
Ampersand is an and sign.
A little
Yeah.
asterisk.
Oh, what?
Asterisk.
A tilde, you mean?
One of those English things in a Spanish sitcom, it works. The pinata line.
Nice.
Just keep
the
it going.
squiggly mark. It's the thing that I always have to look up how to type whenever we have Dr. Andy Briseno on the damn show, because his fucking name requires one. There's some weird, like, Alt 137 or something you have to type to make it appear. It's super frustrating. They really are an oppressed people.
Yeah, they'll get over it.
So, more Bart brilliantry going on here because he's at the airport holding a Robert Goulet sign. And when Robert Goulet walks up, he says, "Hey, are you from the casino?"
"I'm from a casino."
"Good enough. Let's go."
Good enough. Let's go. Oh crap! It's a tilde line or whatever it's called. I knew I'd remember it eventually.
Tilde. Yeah.
Tilde. Yeah. Thank you. With apologies to all our Hispanic friends, except for Andy.
You're the one that's going to have to get on your knees and kiss their ass if they get offended like they did over the Wheel of Fortune incident.
You're talking a South Park reference. That wasn't a Richie reference.
No, that was a South Park reference. So, we then see at the Burns Casino that they are, in fact, advertising that tonight Robert Goulet will be performing. Also, they're having the Concrete and Asphalt Expo of '93.
Way to accentuate the ass.
No time.
Up in the penthouse, Smithers is letting Burns know that Mr. Goulet has not arrived yet, but Burns has a backup plan. They're just going to start unthawing Jim Neighbors.
Very well. Begin the thawing of Jim Neighbors.
Which Jim Neighbors is a actor, musician, performer, basically an entertainer that you might see in this environment. He was born in 1930, so very much would have been part of Burns' lifespan, and unfortunately he actually just died in November of 2017, but, still was a big enough deal to be mentioned on The Simpsons, which is our lifelong goal. We'll even take that Liza Minnelli spot if you want to throw some shade at us. It's so fun.
Best darn diddly.
Those best darn diddly impersonators turned out to be best darn diddly.
Worst podcast ever.
Will be an IMDb footnote one day.
We actually get a glimpse of Bart's transportation services. He just has Robert Goulet up on his handlebars and he's pedaling him across town.
Yep.
You'd think he would give that to Milhouse.
When they do actually arrive at the treehouse, Nelson is putting the final touches on the sign announcing that Robert Goulet will be performing. And this is when Mr. Goulet becomes just a little bit suspicious. "Are you sure this is the casino? Maybe I should call my manager."
"Your manager says for you to shut up."
Vera said that?
So he goes on with the performance. He climbs up to the casino to see where he'll be performing.
Yep.
Inside the house, Lisa is going into a full panic. The geography pageant is tonight, and Marge is nowhere to be found. Homer reassures Lisa that her mother still loves her. It's just that she has a career now. She's a slot jockey.
But Dad, if I don't show up in a rubber suit shaped like the state of Florida, I'll be the laughingstock of the whole school.
It's always something, isn't it? First I have to drive your pregnant mother to the hospital so she can give birth to you, and now this.
8+ years later.
It's asking so much. It's asking way too much.
But he's going with it.
Once every 8 years, Homer decides to step up because he goes into full-on parenting mode here. He gets the thread and needle out. He's trying to sew. He does keep poking himself, so it's not going great.
Ow.
He starts hurting himself even worse when he plugs in the sewing machine. It goes just ow, but faster.
Yep. Ow.
He actually, we see him in the garage. He sparks up the blowtorch.
Starts going to work on the tires.
Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah.
Lisa has to actually remind him that it's time to work on the costume, not the car. And for the last final touches, Homer just tapes a orange and says,
"Classic.
Hello, Florida." Which is spelled with an E. This is what we're
Florida.
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there's an A at the end of that. That's Florida.
I'm not a state. I'm a monster.
No, Lisa, the only monster here is that gambling monster that has enslaved your mother. I call him Gamblor, and it's time to snatch your mother from his neon claws.
Gamblor reminds me, and I can't actually think of their names, but it sounds like one of the names of the three bosses on the show Nick Arcade from Nickelodeon in the 90s. Have you ever watched that?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, deep cut right there. Yeah, anybody who watched that very short-run show about playing video games on television.
That was probably filmed in Canada.
The teams had to compete in video games so that they could actually go inside the video game, and to win, like, the grand prize, which was probably Space Camp or, like, a copy of Sonic the Hedgehog or something, you actually had to defeat one of the 3 bosses that would be running the really confusing green screen VR simulators they ran.
Yeah. 90s, man.
Which we also talked about.
God,
with
the 90s were a great time.
Yeah,
great time to grow up.
Well, yeah, fuck. Gambler. I love the neon claws.
The neon claws.
I tried to picture a gambler in my head.
That's when he starts running through all the casino stuff, right?
Yeah, this is set Homer off. He realizes that enough is enough, and he needs to go find his wife. Now, this is the part where I guess the passion took over his brain, because Marge literally has been planted at the same fucking slot machine this entire episode. Yet Homer is running around like a chicken with his head cut off, searching everywhere, punching Robert Goulet billboards, like hunting, winning a lot of people a lot of money, to be fair. He rolls 7 on the crap.
He'll call you back!
And hits the double star. He hangs up on the phone for some reason. And it's making Burns quite uncomfortable, frankly. Yeah. He can see this lunatic running around his casino, and he wants to get out of it. He doesn't want a lunatic like that working in a casino.
Well, that's fine, sir. We'll just transfer him back to the power plant.
Bah! To hell with this. Get my razors. Draw a bath. Get these Kleenex boxes off my feet.
Certainly, sir. And, the jars of urine?
We'll be holding on to those. Now, to the plant! We'll take the spruce moose. Hop in.
But sir...
Click, click. I said hop in.
This is where Burns has completely gone over the edge, because he's basically pointing a gun. Yeah, he's pointing a gun at Smithers and telling him he has to get inside this model airplane so they can escape.
But think about how quick they'll get there.
Yeah, like 17 minutes or less, because they can go intercontinental in that amount of time. So Homer does finally find Marge, but there's a bit of a struggle for him to get his words out.
Homer, what is it?
Think before you say each word.
You broke a promise to your child.
What?
You promised Lisa to help her with her costume. You made her cry. And then I cried. And then Maggie laughed. She's such a little trooper.
Bravo. Give that man an Emmy.
That was good. Yeah, he nailed that. Marge finally hits a moment of clarity here. She realizes how bad her problem has gotten. Homer straight out asked her if she'll admit that she has a gambling problem, and when she does, she says that she really wants to quit, and maybe she should get some professional help. And we get one of the other contenders for my favorite jokes here from Homer.
No, that costs too much. Just promise to never do it again.
No, that's too expensive. Just don't do it again.
Classic Homer.
So we go around and wrap everything up real quick. We get a last interaction with Bart's treehouse where we actually see Robert Goulet himself singing Jingle Bells, Batman Smells, yes. Robin laid an egg.
Robin laid an egg.
Yeah.
For a packed house.
He's killing, man. They're loving it.
Smacks Milhouse in the face with a yo-yo, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, kid."
No, it's with the mic, isn't it?
Oh, it was with the mic. I don't know why I said yo-yo. It's with his mic on a cable.
Oh, I'm sorry, kid.
It was how I used to swing yo-yos.
So it's Milhouse, so it's hilarious by default.
I just love that it's a little bit of a callback all the way to the first episode of the series, because that's the same song that Bart got in trouble for singing during the school pageant in Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire.
That's right.
So they gave him something he had to sing then. Got to pander to the audience. Give them what they want.
Yeah, that's true.
We also get a glimpse of Lisa's geography pageant that she's been talking about this whole time.
Award-winning geography costume.
Lisa and Ralph Wiggum are standing on stage together about to accept an award, so immediately you have to be a little bit worried for Lisa here. They're both getting a honored prize for being the students who had the least or no help from their parents.
It was obviously had no help.
Lisa basically just looked like she had two baby mattresses tied to the front and back of herself, and then Florida and an orange tape to it. Ralph's was even better because literally he just has a piece of paper pinned to him that says Idaho.
And you know what?
I'm Idaho.
Yes, Ralph, of course you are.
I'm going to call Ralph on that right away, because if you look at the writing of Idaho, there's no way Ralph Wiggum wrote that, man.
No, his parents clearly wrote that.
No, Ralph is actually super smart. He makes much better everything than his parents do, because they're on the same wavelength. I think Ralph actually did this. Or he just literally like stenciled out the part of Idaho on the back of like a potato and just wrote it that way. I'm Idaho. Yes, of course you are.
That's just, Ralph always steals like one line. His only line in this whole episode is probably the most memorable line in the thing. I'm Idaho. And finally, we do get Marge and Homer walking out of the casino together onto the boardwalk. And just a great bit of Homer not being able to help himself at all. He's saying, you know, Marge, for the first time in our marriage, I can finally look down my nose at you. You have a gambling problem.
That's true. Will you forgive me?
Oh, sure. Remember when I caught stealing all those watches from Sears? Well, that's nothing because you have a gambling problem. And remember when I let that escaped lunatic into the house because he was dressed like Santa? Well, you have a gambling problem.
Homer, when you forgive someone, you can't throw it back at them like that.
Aw, what a jip. Homer and Marge kiss, much like Ripken and I wish we could now.
Totally.
And almost immediately Homer forgets. Remember when I...
Homer!
Oh yeah, I forgot already. And we fade to black to end the episode. One of the best resets of the seasons. And I realize that's saying something, but that was a great moment, and I can definitely see why Ripken chose this episode to be a part of. And on that note, since this is the end of the episode, Ripken, is there anything else that you would like to point out that we may have missed?
Oh God, no! I mean, we got everything. I think we got everything. I hit my B sharps surprise moment. Everyone stopped listening after that.
Yeah, but you know that first 45 minutes is going to have so much listen time because
exactly. Yeah, they're going to really be eating that up. They're going to
on the edge of their seats.
Yeah. I will not tell them at what point to find that. So I gotta keep the build. But no, other than that, it's a great episode. I love this episode. I'm really glad my brother brought it to my attention again. And, I'm looking forward to doing the next episode in which Homer has some sort of lifelong dream in which he accomplishes.
That's going to be your thing. Very cool.
That'll be my new gimmick on the show. So
very cool. Richie, how about you or that book of yours? Anything else you want to point out?
My book, The Complete Guide to Our Favorite Family, does point out that when everyone decides to build the casino, there's a whole bunch of stuff tossed up in the air that's just like hats and typical things like that. But there was a pair of dentures thrown up in the air as well.
Nice. Well, on that note, I just want to say to Ripken, thank you so much, brother, for joining us. We always have a lot of fun whenever you have whenever you join the show with us. We really appreciate talking with you and all the insight you bring to our show. One more time, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you and all of the shows you're a part of?
Absolutely. Well, your best bet is to find me on Twitter there. You could follow me at RipkenWN. Also follow my two good friends and co-hosts of the Derailers. You could follow Goobs at GoobsWN, and you could follow Jenny Bean at The Derailers, all on Twitter. And of course,
my sister from another Vista.
That's right. Shoutouts to Jenny Bean and to Goobs.
And to Goobs. We love you, dude.
Yeah. You can listen to the show. It's on iTunes, Stitcher, and Buzzsprout. And, of course, check out the WNW, the Wrestle Nerds Wrestling. If you are any sort of wrestling fan, just give it a look. Let us know what you think. That's on YouTube. Just search for Wrestle Nerds. It's Wrestle, not Wrestle. WRASSLE, Nerds. All one word.
The way it should be.
That's right. And that's about it. That's everything for me. Check out the Derailers podcast. Yeah.
Definitely do yourself a favor and check out the Derailers podcast. And thank you again one more time. Just always a pleasure having you, sir. Richie, what about you, my friend? Where can they find you online? As always, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at @thewiz_kid23.
Also, while you're on Twitter, give our show a follow as well. That's at bestdarndiddly. That's DIDDLY.
And of course, as always, that works on Instagram. For me, I'm Mr. Most Days Off. That works pretty much everywhere. Definitely come and check us out on YouTube. You can search for Best Darn Diddly and find us. Would really appreciate a subscribe. Trying to build up that channel, and we're so small right now, we don't even have the ability to customize. So that's just our first goal, is to get into triple digits on the subscribers. So please come and help us out with that venture. We'd really appreciate that. Other than that, we always appreciate you tuning in and listening to us ramble about The Simpsons. We hope you enjoyed having Ripken on this week to share his thoughts. We, being Richie and I, look forward to being back with you again next week with another special guest, which, you know what? I'm going to take a page out of Ripken's book and leave that as a surprise for right now. But I think you're really going to enjoy hearing what this man has to say. Richie and I and our special guest will be back next week for Homer the Vigilante.
Nice.
And not to make light of a very serious issue that a lot of people go through, because we really didn't talk too much about the gambling monster in this episode. So I just want to say from all of us, because I know Ripken will agree, The Simpsons make light of things in a good way and actually have them resolve it. So I'm glad they did that, but please, everybody, be careful of that monster gambler out there.
For real.
If gambler is in your life, make sure you call one of those 1-800 numbers we talked about. You don't want to piss all your quarters away.
Definitely.
Or just have Homer come help you.
Yeah, definitely.
And of course, until next time, be cromulent to each other.
Every year, new TV shows get canceled. Some make it an entire season, and some don't even make it that far. I'm Ed, host of Unaired, where each week we review a show that was canceled with episodes left unaired, then pitch our ideas for what could have been future episodes of those shows. We've covered shows like Cavemen, the show based on the Geico Cavemen commercials, the ill-fated 2011 Wonder Woman pilot, a show called Look Well, where Adam West plays an aging TV detective who thinks he can solve real crimes, and many more. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, unairedpodcast.com, or wherever you download podcasts. And remember, some things are better left unaired.